All right, Lawrence Okolie wins a wide 12-round unanimous decision over 10 rounds against Isaac Chamberlain. This fight is pretty easy to assess. Lawrence Okolie was simply too big and too strong for Isaac Chamberlain. That's what this came down to. It really wasn't about skill. It wasn't about talent. It was just about the fact that Okolie was too big, too strong, and too powerful for Chamberlain. He bullied him throughout the fight in the clinches. He dropped him twice. And the writing really was on the wall from the first round when a glancing blow, which seemed to clip Isaac Chamberlain just behind the ear, dropped him, and he seemed very unsteady when he got up. He remained calm and he did weather the storm, but as I say, the writing was on the wall because he just couldn't impose himself on Lawrence Okolie at all. And Tony Bellew in the commentary said that Chamberlain is one of those guys who's really too small for cruiserweight, but too big for light heavyweight. And Lawrence Okolie, on the other hand, is a very big cruiserweight who regularly spars heavyweights. The guy's 6'5", so he's a very, very big man for the weight. And he used his size to the best of his ability. Now, it was an extremely ugly fight. A terrible fight, actually, to watch. There was clinching every couple seconds, sometimes every half second. As soon as the referee broke them, they were straight back into a clinch. I thought the referee was very harsh on Isaac Chamberlain when he deducted a point early in the fight for Chamberlain holding. I felt like Okolie was the one who initiated most of the clinches. And I think it was down to anxiousness from Okolie. I don't think either one of these guys was ready for a fight or an event of this magnitude. If they'd had this fight in the gym, in sparring, it probably would have been a much better affair. But because there was so much pressure, they were both headlining the O2, I think nerves came into it, especially for Okolie. I don't think nerves came into it too much for Isaac, to be honest with you. He didn't look as anxious as Lawrence did. But Isaac just wasn't strong enough. Just nowhere near strong enough to contend with Lawrence Okolie. Okolie way too powerful for him. So Isaac seemed calm. He didn't seem, after the first round, too nervous. First round, he was a bit nervous, but after that, he wasn't too nervous. But Lawrence was just so anxious. He was falling in with his punches, constantly clinching. I feel like the referee would have done them both a favor by deducting Lawrence Okolie points earlier on in the fight because it might have calmed Lawrence Okolie down a little bit. He was rushing his punches all over the place, falling in, clinching constantly, and just made it a very, very ugly affair. The referee eventually did deduct points from, or a point from Lawrence Okolie, but it was too little too late. Lawrence, I think, could have won the fight in much more impressive fashion if he would have just calmed down. He was just way, way too anxious in there. And like I say, he's a novice professional at this point, and he just wasn't really ready for an occasion of this magnitude, you know, in terms of producing his best work. Because Lawrence Okolie can box better than that. He can box way better than that. When he looks back at that fight, he's going to say, damn, why was I falling in so much? Why wasn't I throwing my right hand straight and correct? Why was I fighting? They look like a couple of novices in there, let's be real. You know, like a couple of really, really raw, inexperienced fighters. And I guess they are. But, you know, how would any of us do with such little experience, you know, in front of such a big crowd with all the anticipation and all our fans and family members and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I don't want to bash them too hard, but as a spectacle for the fans, it was a really, really poor thing to watch. Lawrence dropped Isaac Chamberlain in the first round and he dropped him again. I think it was in the 7th or the 8th round. The second knockdown in the fight was a much better punch from Lawrence Okolie. And as the fight wore on, actually, Lawrence started doing a bit better work, cleaner work, a bit less clinching, but he was still trying to work at 100 miles an hour rather than slowing his work down and picking his punches correctly. But that will come with time. That will come with time. And it's a good experience for Lawrence Okolie, definitely, because he won the fight, even though it was ugly as hell. He won the fight. But really and truly with, you could say, a fairer referee, Lawrence Okolie could have been in danger of getting disqualified there with the amount of clinching. It was similar to Klitschko versus Povetkin, but Okolie wasn't doing all the insane leaning that Klitschko was doing. I mean, Klitschko was lifting himself off his feet to push Povetkin's head down. And Lawrence did do things in there too that were almost close to what Klitschko did. He shoved Isaac Chamberlain over. I mean, the referee didn't even warn him for that shove. He should have got at least a warning for that. So with a referee that was more objective, I think Lawrence would have got more points deducted and possibly disqualified if he didn't stop. So that's my big criticism here, is the holding from Lawrence Okolie and the referee. But either way, even with a tougher referee and without the holding, I struggle to see how Isaac Chamberlain could have won the fight. This wasn't like Povetkin Klitschko in the sense that at least Povetkin is a puncher. So if Klitschko hadn't been allowed to hold, Povetkin still could have got shots on that could have done damage. But Isaac Chamberlain don't have the physical strength. He don't have the punching power. He don't have the height and reach. He didn't have anything over Lawrence Okolie other than he's a slicker boxer. But the slickness didn't mean anything against that type of physicality, the size, the height, the reach, and all that. Yeah, so Lawrence Okolie wins the fight, but it was very ugly. And I'm sure Lawrence, when he goes back and looks at that fight, will know that it was not his best performance. But hopefully next time around, he'll calm himself down, slow down his work, not be so anxious, and get the job done in more clinical fashion. Because if he'd been more calm, maybe he could have got Isaac Chamberlain out of there. Because every time he landed clean, he was hurting Isaac Chamberlain. So, maybe he'll be more clinical next time, hopefully. So let me know what you lot think in the comment section, people. What did you make of the fight? Is it the fight you were expecting? I know a lot of you guys were picking Isaac Chamberlain, and even me, the closer it got to the fight, the more even I was seeing it. I still picked Lawrence Okolie in the end. I was saying it was like 53-47 in favor of Lawrence in terms of who I felt was going to win. So I was still rolling with Lawrence. But a lot of you guys were picking Isaac and picking him big. You were saying, no, Isaac's going to school him. He's going to knock him out. He's going to do this, that, and the other. I want to hear from you guys. Did it turn out the way you expected? And for those of us who picked Okolie to win, was it the kind of fight you guys expected? Were you disappointed in either fighter? Were you disappointed in both fighters? I think most fans are going to be disappointed in both fighters. Most fans are going to say, wow, Isaac really did nothing. He landed no punches of any significance. He really did absolutely nothing. And as for Lawrence, he was very ragged, very novice-y looking, clinching all the time, poor technique, and he just won on physical strength and power. There was really nothing technical there at all. So I think most people are going to be disappointed in both of these guys. But as I say, they're novice professionals at the end of the day. And really, maybe we should look at Eddie Hearn and say, it shouldn't have been on at the O2. Neither guy was ready for this kind of event. Neither guy was ready for a stage this big. And it really showed in the fight, So still, that was my assessment of this matchup. End of the day, both guys are professional fighters, and we're not. We're sitting there talking about it and criticizing it. We're not the ones in the ring taking the punches. That has to be understood. But boxing is an entertainment sport at the end of the day. It's a form of entertainment, and that's the way I have to judge it here. And as a spectacle, it was extremely poor. So you have to, as I say, look at Eddie Hearn and say, you know what? You can't put two novice professionals in there on that kind of stage, and expect there to be a great fight. I guess I know hindsight is always 20/20, and you do look at Anthony Joshua versus Dylan White and what have you as an example of two guys at a similar stage of their career going at it and producing a great fight. So I can understand there is a counter argument, but was that the exception rather than the rule? Because normally if you're going to put a guy of Okolie's level and experience against Chamberlain, it's going to be a your call fight. It's going to be an undercard fight. It's not going to be a main event at the O2 normally, you know? So how many guys are going to be able to deal with that kind of pressure? Anyway, people, let me stop waffling on here. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments. Yeah, I'm out.